Hey everyone, this is Renier and welcome to a new lesson today. Today I'll continue with my selected games from AEROFLOT Open played this year, and I selected today the game between Bushkovich and Sergei Movsisyan from the 7th round of the AEROFLOT Open. Alright, the game was an IMSO-Indian, and let's discuss. It is very exciting, and especially the inside analysis is quite attractive, I think. Okay, d4 knight f6. Bushkovich, for those who don't know this player, is a very strong attacking player. His rating is 26-23, and usually he's an e4 player, but recently he's been playing d4, but what hasn't changed is his aggressive style. So the lines inside d4 are very sharp. He chooses the IMSO-Indian, the Rubinstein variation with e3, and now Movsisyan with the black pieces, and much more known player. Now he's playing for Armenian team. His rating is 27-21. He plays d5, classical move, main variation, also possible c5 or castle, different move orders. d5, knight f3, castle, bishop d3, c5, castle, and now knight c6. Of course, here black has the option to liquidate the center with d takes on c4, followed by c takes on d4, and then many moves have been tried: b6, knight bd7, and also maybe even bishop d7. All of those moves are possible. But knight c6 is the oldest move and the classical one, the main line of this variation. Now white plays a3. There is almost no other move. There isn't any useful move, since black is putting pressure in the center. For example, moves like queen e2 after d takes on c4, c takes d4, drops a pawn. So white has to play a3. There is no choice. And then after bishop takes on c3, for those always looking for new ways to play the position, I would recommend bishop a5. I think it's a good option for black, and there isn't a clear way for white to prove an advantage. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a specialist, but I believe this move is quite interesting. Okay, so bishop takes c3. Of course, nothing wrong with this move. It's the main move played by hundreds of players. B takes on c3, and now queen c7. One of the ways to play this variation. The other one is d takes on c4, bishop takes c4, and then queen c7 with the idea of e5. This is the most standard way to play with black, and black usually goes e5, rook e8, bishop f5 or bishop g4 if allowed, and then rook a to the 8. But queen c7 keeps the tension, and now white plays bishop b2. Okay, this move, this bishop b2 is clearly inviting to the same thing. For example, if in the note before, after d takes on c4, bishop takes, queen c7, probably white was going to play bishop b2, which is one of the options here, as well as bishop d3, the Grigoric move. I think Kasparov was the one who tried bishop e2. Well, Kasparov may have tried bishop e2 and also bishop a2. Okay, queen c7, bishop b2, and now let's see. The option for white here instead of bishop b2 is c takes d5. This is what can be played. And after e takes d5, a4 with the idea of bishop a3, and the idea is to force black to play c4. So black plays rook e8, waiting useful move, controlling the square e4, and just when white plays bishop a3, he goes c4, bishop c2, and then knight e4. And white has two moves in this position. One is queen e1, with the idea of moving the knight, and then f3 and e4, and the other one is a more direct approach. Bishop takes on e4, followed by knight d2. I mean, after rook takes on e4, knight d2, and then e4, and trade the e4 pawn for the c4 pawn. In both cases, the game is about equal. I mean, not equal, but it's double-edged. It's chances for both sides. Okay, with bishop b2, knight a5. I must say, Movsesian already had experience with this position. In one game, previously he tried rook d8, which doesn't seem to be very convincing after move like queen e2, at least not the way Movsesian played. Movsesian now played b6 against Navarra in year 2010, and after c takes on d5, e takes on d5, c4, white achieved what he wanted from this position, that is to open the position for the bishops. After d takes on c4, bishop takes, c takes, rook c1, a good in-between move. Now taking on e3 is probably losing after bishop takes on f6 and bishop b5. So bishop b7, knight takes, bishop takes on d4, and white already has a pleasant game. Bishop pair, and the position is very open. So after queen b2, knight e8, the game continued this way. f3, knight d6, and now Navarra played bishop takes g7, which allows queen takes on e3 and certain activity from black side that in the end managed to get the draw. But after bishop d3, I believe white has better chances. The knight on d6 is controlled by the light square bishop, and also the bishop on d4 is very strong. I think it's between a slight advantage and clear, because the two bishops, like I said before, is a strong asset in white's position. There is also another interesting game after this queen e2. Instead of b6, Jovava played knight a5. Looks interesting, trying to force white to make a decision. Now, of course, the idea with c takes on d5 and c4 doesn't make any sense, because black can take with the knight. So knight d2, b6, c takes on d5, e takes on d5, and now white plays f3. Okay, usually the plan in this type of positions, in this variation, is to play f3 and e4, and that's what white is doing. And what happens is that once white gets to play this, he ends up in a position that he has a very strong attack, because the f file is open, the center is too strong, and the two bishops behind the pawns are usually very strong. So blacks must prevent this at all costs. After knight e8, e4, knight d6, e5, you can see knight c4, knight takes on c4, d takes on c4, and now bishop e4. Even though the bishop on b2 doesn't look good, it defends the strong pawn chain, and white is ready to gain more space. C takes d4, c takes, bishop d5, bishop c3, blocking the c pawn. I didn't put much analysis into this game, because it's just a reference game of how the line is played. But you can see that white's attack is quite dangerous. The idea is f5 now, and f6, knight c6, f5, and I think it's already too late to stop this. After queen e7, trying to create counterplay by queen takes on a3, white played f6, queen takes on a3, and now white played rook f3, which eventually led to a win, but probably black could have defended. I think white missed a win here with bishop b2, and after queen f8, e6, which is just an amazing idea. If bishop takes, he drops the piece on c6, so f takes on e6, and then bishop takes on a7, king takes, queen h5, and this pretty checkmate on f7. So okay, in that game after queen a3, rook f3, the rook on the third rank, g6, then e6 again, bishop takes on e4, queen takes, and white went on to win quickly after queen f4. Jobava resigned the game. This was played in the Plovdiv in Bulgaria in 2010. Dane Becher against Jobava. Yeah, a very nice game, I think. From this line, Jobava was 2700. I have to say, rating is important because it shows the how delicate the position is for both sides. If from White's point of view, he must attack, and Black will try from a strategic point of view to stop Black's attack and get his advantage, his blockade in the light squares. If Black fails to do this, then he has trouble because of White's attack. Okay, so in the game, Movsesian played knight a5, which is a known move. It's very solid. C takes d5, e takes d5, and now knight e5. Alright, this is one of the critical lines in this Minso-Indian. I believe that now c4 perhaps is not the best move. Probably rook e8 is the most interesting way to handle this position. I don't like c4, but I usually don't like two compromising moves. With c4, Black fixes the pawn structure, and it's like White has already decided what he's going to go. He's going to go f3 and e4, or a4 and bishop a3. That's the plan, and he can start right away because Black has already decided his position in the center. But it's a matter of taste. I believe that there is nothing wrong with c4, but I prefer rook e8, which keeps things more flexible. Then if a4, as played by Potkin, rook takes on e5 is a very interesting sacrifice. D takes on e5, queen takes, h3, now c4, bishop c2, bishop f5, trading White's only active piece, and after rook e1, bishop takes on c2, queen takes on c2, knight b3, rook d1, rook e8, Black was much better. The knights on light squares, after f3, knight c5, and knight d3. If White ever decides to give back the exchange, he will have a worse pawn structure and a very passive bishop. So after rook e2, knight h5, Black went on to win. This is Potkin against Wang Hao in 2010. Probably instead of a4, White should try first f3, which the sacrifice is not so good right now. Okay, but that remains to be seen. In the game, c4 was played, and then bishop c2, knight e4, and f3. Still, all of this I'm explaining, but this common theory. It has been played many times. Actually, last year Onishuk played this position with the white pieces against Movsesian, and after h3, f6, knight f3, rook e8, I think a4, bishop d7, rook e1, and White didn't achieve much from the opening. You can see that Black has successfully blockaded the e3, e4 idea. After bishop e8, he's ready to place the bishop on g6. Actually, after knight d2, knight takes, queen takes, bishop g6. This is very interesting now because bishop a3, rook e8, and now rook b1, sorry, takes, queen takes, knight b3, a5, rook e4. Black has a good blockade in the light squares, and now White had to play rook takes on b3, c takes, queen takes, in which he has a compensation, but not for a win. Of course not. Black is in no danger, and after queen c6, rook b2, b6, the game was a draw. But it's important to realize that here black already has successfully blockaded the light squares, and white's chances for a win were decreasing already. So the exchange sacrifice is perhaps the best try. Probably this is wrong. I think the only try to keep the balance. Okay, in this game Bushkovich didn't play h3, but he played f3, which is a much more aggressive move, and then after knight d6 a4, taking away the b5 square, but also clearing the a3 square for bishop a3. It's also possible to play queen b1, attacking h7, and after g6 a4, f6, knight g4, bishop takes, pawn takes, king g7. The sacrifices on g6 are always dangerous. For example, after bishop a3, bishop takes g6 may be a threat. So black usually plays bishop king g7, and after bishop a3, rook e8, rook f3, rook f7, and now bishop takes, queen b5, knight c6, and h4, with a very complicated position. This is a game from Yotov against Krasimir Rusev, played in 2006. Very old game, but I think it's interesting. The idea, White has the idea of playing h5 and weaken the g6 pawn, so he can attack it later back with queen b1, or try to create a battery with the bishop on b1 and the queen on c2 against g6. That's one of the ideas. Okay, back to main game. a4, probably the best move, and now f6. What is White doing? White wants to play e4, and black must get rid of the knight on e5, and f6 is the only way. For example, if bishop f5, White can play e4, and after d takes on e4, he has bishop a3, and this is the problem. Now the double pin on d6 and e4 makes impossible for black to hold on to his center, to hold on to the pawn on e4. White will take on e4 and have a strong position in the center with all the minor pieces attacking. And after f6, pawn takes on e4, takes on e5, e takes, queen takes on d4. White has a much better game. Actually, that's not the way to say it. White is winning. He has no material disadvantage. He has a kingside attack. The two bishops are too strong, and after rook fd8, White went on to win very quickly with f6. After knight c6, bishop takes on h7, king takes, queen h4, king g8, and now bishop takes d6, queen takes, f7 check, rook e1, king d7, f8, and black resigns. Game by Aronian with the white pieces from 2006 as well. Queen takes e7 will win. Very interesting game, of course, but bishop f5 is a mistake. So f6 is the normal move, and now White plays bishop a3 anyway, because taking on e5 is not good. After f takes on e5, d takes on e5. Not only the d6 knight is pinned, but also the d5 pawn, so will be lost with check. So after rook d8, knight g4, and then rook e8. Bishop takes e4 is another option, and it was possible, but after pawn takes on g4, knight b3, I want you to pay close attention to this position. Rook a2, and then the rook on a2 looks funny, but it's very interesting that it can get to the king side in just one move by removing the bishop, and then rook f2. White has everything coordinated. Rook e8, and then g5 with a clear advantage. At first sight, perhaps you don't really notice what's going on, but white is nearly winning. Okay, so I was saying that in this position, the bishop takes d4, pawn takes on g4, knight b3, rook a2, rook e8, and now g5. White has almost a winning position. His attack is very strong. The bishop on c2, if pawn takes on g5, queen h5 decides, and also the knight on d6 that seems to be defending everything is the first one to be taken in any minute. So if f5, bishop takes on f5, knight takes, rook takes on f5, this is probably the best. But if black takes on e3, rook f2 and the bishop on a3 works perfectly, because rook f8 is a very strong threat. So queen d7, queen f3, queen takes on a4, g6, opening more lines. And now, okay, the idea is, of course, to take on d5 with check, and then have rook f3 and rook h3 mate. So rook d8 defending d5, bishop f8, a very nice move. Black cannot take. There is always g takes on a7, and also the queen on a4 is attacked. So here queen d7 again. Okay, if okay, let me see one thing. Yeah, if I got it. Yeah, if queen takes on a2, g takes on a7, queen h5, queen f7, and rook h5 is made. Yeah, I got a moment of I lost my concentration for a little bit. Okay, so after bishop f8, queen d7, rook f7, then queen e6, rook takes g7. This was just slaughtered here. Rook takes on a7, and black resigns. So you can see that bishop takes g4 is not a solution for black, since the g4 pawn has this idea of g5, and the bishop is open against the black king and the f file too. So here my opposition played first new move of the game, that was rook e8 instead. Perhaps black should look for improvement. I'm not sure what to say, but it looks like white's play is not only easy but also creates several problems for black. Now Bushkovich played queen b1, attacking h7, and pay attention, h6, bishop h7, king h8, bishop g6, everything seems pretty much forced. Rook e7, what else? If knight f7, white simply plays e4, and if rook d8, white can try queen c2. It doesn't make sense to go rook d8. If rook d8, let's not forget that the rook was on d8 on move 16. So rook e7, my opposition played, and then queen b4, putting pressure on d6, rook d7. Already black pieces start looking awkward, and now white went queen b2. Not a bad move, but the white already is missing some strong moves like knight e5, for example. And after knight c6, well, if pawn takes, d takes, the knight on d6 is pinned, and there is queen f8. White will take on d6 with an advantage. So knight c6, knight takes, queen takes on c6, and then e4. White has a clear advantage here. Rook e1, e takes d5, or even e5, both ways will work. So queen b2 was played, little bit slower. Rook e7 back, rook e1, bishop takes, f takes g4, and now rook e6. I must say, in case of rook d8, probably white would play e4, and after d takes on e4, queen f2, with the idea of taking on d6 and then take back on e4 with the bishop with threats like queen f5 later, which create severe problems for black because of the weak king. So Movsesian tried to unpin the knight immediately. Now it's time to take it, otherwise black will play knight e4. So it's time to take on d6, queen takes, and now bishop b1, trying to set up the battery with queen c2 and with an eye on a7. Yeah, also interesting, e4 immediately, and after d takes, queen b5, knight b3, and rook f2, preventing that the knight improves with knight d2, rook e7. Well, if e3, rook f e2. If rook e7, bishop takes on e4, and white should have an advantage. Just rook f2 e2, the c4 pawn is also hanging, and black has permanent weakness of his king, not the back rank, ideas with queen f5, so this is probably a very bad position for black. Anyway, white played bishop b1, rook g8, awkward move to make, but black must play g6, try to shut the diagonal, queen c2, g6, and now the central break e4. Of course, white, black shouldn't take, but okay, here probably black has defenses, and so he played rook e8, queen d2, king g7, it takes on d5, and now black went queen takes d5, which is probably a mistake. Instead, Movsesian should have exchanged everything, because he's under attack, so trading pieces make sense. So rook takes, and knight b3 with the tempo, improving the knight, and after queen f2 and queen takes d5. Probably black holds this without any problems. I mean, with the rooks and the queen and bishop on the attack, yes, white has initiative here. He's still better, but not much better. Probably this ends up in a draw without much trouble. Instead, Movsesian kept the rooks with queen takes d5, and now white went queen f4. Again, a good practical move, but the best move would be queen f2, and it's better because it's not in the way of the remaining pieces. And after rook f8, if queen d6, also because the queen on f2 can switch to the square c2. Basically, that's the reason. For example, if queen d6, he has queen c2, and black cannot defend the g6 pawn. If rook f8, again queen c2, and this forces black to play f5, and after rook takes on e6, queen takes, g takes. Here white is much better. If black has to do a move like king f6, then queen d2, attacking a6, queen f4 later, and let's not forget the passed pawn on d4. Also, the knight on a5 takes a while before it can get back into play, so white has a clear advantage. Okay, in the game white went queen f4, I guess tempted by the check on c7, and it worked perfectly, because black played queen d7, which is a blunder, and he should have played queen c6, and still after rook takes on e6, queen f2, again with the idea of queen c2, queen e8. Important to mention that queen takes on a4 is not possible, because white wins by bishop takes g6, king takes g6, queen f5, king f7, d5, and then after rook d6, queen a7, and should win because of rook e1 then. And also, yeah, if the king remains on the f file, white will simply take on a6 with check, and then He also has g5. So queen e8, the best move, and then h4 with the idea of queen c2 and h5, and probably white has very strong initiative. Okay, in the game Mobsesian blundered with queen d7, and here white played this beautiful move, bishop takes e6, king takes e6, queen f5 check, king g7, and now d5, and black resigns. The problem is that if rook d6 now, queen takes on d7 check, rook takes, and rook e8. And if rook takes on e1, it's simple, queen takes e7, and white wins. That's why Mobsesian resigns in this position. Okay, everyone, this is it for now. I hope you enjoyed this game. I really like it from the way, from the moment I saw it and decided to analyze. I will be analyzing other games from this tournament as well. So, any questions, any comments, post it in the forum, and I'll be answering.